Be a short one, we can get through in a decent hour this time. And we're on. So, good evening. We'll open today's Monday, August 6, 2018 Board of Selectmen meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd all rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I see there's no resident of public comments, so we'll move right into the approval of the warrants. Motion to approve payroll warrant 19-05 in the amount of $184,951.88.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? There's none. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Good. Motion to approve bill warrant 19-05 in the amount of $1,474,316.42, which breaks down as follows. Town, $212,068.17. Water and sewer, $29,231.86. Payroll withholding, $184,951.88, which matches payroll warrant 19-05. Lights and bills, $99,125.18. Grants and encumbrances, $31,070.75. Pentucket assessment, $794,972.66. And the Whittier assessment, $216,314.
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Terrific. Moving right along, we have appointments. With the appointment of Mr. Carl Judson of 881 Salem Street, Groveland, to the Cable TV Advisory Board through June 30th, 2019. Is Mr. Judson in the audience?
He's not able to attend tonight. He had a death in the family.
All righty.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Carl Judson, 881 Salem Street, to the Cable TV Advisory Board through June 30th, 2019.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yes, Selectman Wood.
Do we know if Mr. Judson has any experience with technology?
I personally don't. He just wrote down his contact information. Doesn't seem it was a verbal request. I don't see anything in today's packet as far as a resume, experience, interest, passions, number of children, anything like that that would help us determine any kind of qualifications or background as such.
I would think someone on the Cable TV Advisory Board would have some experience in cable TV or technology or internet or something like that.
I would think it'd be helpful. It'd be helpful.
It would be helpful.
It would be helpful if we
Tracy,
knew.
do you know this person?
I do know Carl.
Could you step up to the podium, sir? You know the rules.
I asked questions.
I'm just familiar with Carl. You know, he had served on the fire department with me a number of years ago. I'm not sure what he is for experience in that regard, but we're looking to fill out. We have 2 open positions on the committee, and we're coming into our time where we're going to be starting our hearings on the contract renewal process. So I need people, you know, I am not that versed in the technology part, but we do have one person on the committee who is, you know, very versed in that, who will help us out. But, you know, sometimes you don't always need everyone on the committee versed when you have other people on the committee who are knowledgeable and help us out on different parts.
Without this person, do you have a quorum?
We do with 3 of us, as long as Ed, myself, and the other person are there.
There's three on the
But-
committee right now out of
But
five.
I'm looking for 2 more people, so I would ask the board to appoint Carl. If somebody else comes along more qualified, so be it. But at this point, I'm looking for 2 members. I need 2 members. Now, I would prefer to have a full board membership before we start on this process.
I'm willing to make a motion that
There's already
we,
a motion.
There's already
Oh.
one on the board. So
sorry.
done.
Do you, working with him on the fire department, feel that he would show up to the meetings and help
Yes.
you? You think you're
Yes.
confident? And Ed, I know
Yeah, he would.
you do?
Yes.
So he wouldn't just be a name and an absence?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I wouldn't be asking for
Well, all right, well, I'm just
for somebody,
asking the
but
question.
I'm looking, and if anyone out at home is looking in, we need 1 more person for the Cable TV Advisory Board who's willing to serve. And that can be anyone, you know, somebody willing to serve.
Okay, thanks.
I never like looking a gift horse in the mouth, but I hate
Yep.
signing a blank check, too.
You're not signing a blank check. I mean, it's a committee, so Ed and myself are on the committee, you know us. Again, sometimes you pull in people to work on committees that they might not have expertise, but again, everyone who is on a committee, you know, yourself included, the Board of Selectmen has strengths and weaknesses, and the people who have strengths in certain areas help people.
Yeah, I'm not looking to see this guy's less moonvestors or anything, you know what I
Yep.
mean?
But
Former
like
chairman
I
of
say,
Viacom or anything like that.
I'm
just-
looking to fill out the committee, and, you know, it's been a while that we've only had 3 people. For a while, it was just Ed and myself, which
Not
gave
much
us,
of a committee, is it?
no committee, so.
Can't even make a good card game with that.
And we've advertised, it's been on the town website for a long time. Denise has had all the openings and all the boards and committees. So I'd ask anyone watching at home tonight to go to the Town of Groveland website, look at the openings on the various boards and committees, and realize that a lot of what happens in this town does happen by volunteer boards and committees, and vital work is done and has to be done by committees, so,
And
you
more
know,
importantly, the decisions are made by people that show up, right,
Yeah.
Tracy?
yeah.
That's it for me. We have a motion and a second. Anybody else have anything to
No,
discuss?
I'm good.
Okay. All those in favor?
Yes.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. You can ask me a question, Joe. I think we were. but- I think we were. Okay, discussion and possible vote. We're gonna meet with a Miss Rebecca Oldham, a candidate for appointment for the position of town planner. But first, I think we'd like to hear from the committee that was responsible for finding this candidate in the first place. I think that, Sam, you were chairman of that committee? Would you mind getting up and maybe giving us a little background on how you came to this candidate?
Sure. This was third round of interviews of 3 candidates. We are extremely excited to have this candidate not only come in, have a resume that I looked at in a little bit of disbelief when I first saw it, actually be able to support her claims on her resume and speak the talk. We've had a lot of interviews where people they have some that have dabbled a little bit in planning and have a slight understanding. She's well above and beyond what we were expecting, which is fantastic. I think at this point, to have a planner in, as you know, I've advocated for it since I've been here. We've had one decent candidate that we lost to other opportunities. We have an opportunity with someone here that has the ability to move Groveland forward in a number of initiatives. I think early on, the big push was grants. Certainly, she was well versed in that, but also writing zoning, developing master plans, understanding how a town works, and having someone even to fill out and participate in some of the activities that we haven't, that just exempt us from even playing the game. This is a huge step for us, and the fact that we got someone that is extremely well qualified, well spoken. You know, we talked to her about other positions that she's held, has a backbone to stand strong and push against some of the difficulties that we know the planner will have. I've also spoken with some of her peers in the other towns just by knowing other inspectors and different, none of them had anything but spectacular things to say. I'm just here tonight to ask the board, please take the opportunity, please appoint her. I think it would be excellent to have this person come into the town and get us moving towards, getting those grants, entering us into those programs, having the knowledge and the time to get us there. We just haven't had that. Just like the last gentleman that was up was saying, we operate on a volunteer board. Our planning board's volunteer. It's not a way to operate that department. And as you guys know, things have changed from, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40. There's a lot more legalities with it, a lot more process, a lot more paperwork. Having someone well-versed in all of that is something that we need, and I think she can certainly offer. I just wanted to come in and speak. Denise couldn't be here tonight. She's actually, chairing the board. Me and Mike were in on the interviews. Mike was in. I'll let him address the CPC funds and how this position links back to his department. But I really would, almost beg you, please appoint Rebecca tonight and get someone in here. I think we can really benefit, and the enthusiasm for the job was evident, not only in the interview, but in follow-up emails, just showing that, there's already a plan forming. So I didn't know if anyone had any questions for me, or just wanted to let Mike have at it.
Do we have any questions of?
I just, a comment. I did read through her qualifications, and, recommendations from you, Denise and Sam, go a long way with me. So I don't feel the need to have to sit here and interview her. That you guys have already done that 3 times. So this is, for me, just a formality of, getting to know her.
Yeah, if you like.
I respect you, I respect the, Denise and Mike and everyone, and I can appreciate what you guys say and what you value. So I don't know her personally, but knowing what you said, I felt comfortable voting yes on it. So thank you for all your work, everyone.
Well, hopefully you'll get a chance to know her soon.
Selectman Galvin?
I was gonna wait until Mike spoke, and then I have a question to ask, but I
Okay.
can wait until Mike speaks.
Yeah, so I would agree with Sam. Ms. Oldham is definitely an excellent candidate for the job. She understands, I think, what a planner for a town the size of Groveland can do and make a difference here. I know that part of the position is being paid for with community preservation funds, because part of her responsibility is going to be writing the open space plan for Groveland in her first year here. So we asked her about her experience. She has a lot of experience writing plans such as affordable housing production plans, including open space and recreation plans. So I was happy to hear that, because We were going to hire Merrimack Valley Planning to do it, but I think it's gonna come out a lot better if we have someone locally working with us to write the plan. So I'm excited about working with her and look forward to you appointing her. Thank you.
Any questions of Mr. Dempsey? No?
No, I don't have any.
Sure, step on up. We're glad we found you.
That-
Where you been hiding?
I'm glad this is recorded, so. All those very, very kind and nice things that you've said about me.
I guess we'll begin any questioning, anything, comments, Selectman Watson?
Yeah, just a couple. Could you just give a rundown of what type of grants that you've written?
Right now, I've been working on a lot of different grants. Specifically in Methuen, we just applied for a Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant, an MVP grant, which is about resiliency planning in the environment. So we just received a $32,000 grant for that, and that's a planning grant that'll allow us to do a lot of prioritizing in terms of some of the environmental concerns that we have that are impacted by climate change, specifically being around the Merrimack River and the Spigot River, specifically in Methuen's instance. And then from that, that will open up some doors for us to apply for actual infrastructure grants. So we are preparing to prioritize that plan and then move forward with the infrastructure grant. I've also been a part of the Green Communities designation. We are trying to go for a Green Communities designation. Again, these grants that are coming out of the state right now are all kind of very, very similar. They start with a designation, a planning grant of some sort, and then they, again, open the door for future projects, mostly infrastructure and capital improvement programs. So I've been involved with a lot of grants in Methuen, and again, a lot of grants at the state level as well. But those in particular, I'm working on currently.
How long are we going to be able to keep you in Groveland? Because when you take the certified planner's exam, I think that's similar to the bar exam given twice a year, November and May. But I know certified planners, they get a pretty good chunk of money.
I'd like to know where that comes into play, but that's not necessarily the case, at least for me at least. The AICP is a very highly sought after certification within the planning realm, and it's a very difficult exam to take. I mean, you need to first apply to take the exam based upon your qualifications. They then need to tell you that you're worth taking the exam. Then you need to pay a chunk of money just to take the exam, and whether or not you pass, you have to go through that process all over again. So it's not a very easy thing to do. And I have actually been studying, and I don't want to jump the gun on that specifically because it's just too valuable. But at the same time, I'm not the type of person that would ever sit there and put my qualifications at the end of my name and think that I deserve a lot more. I just want to use whatever I learn in order to further advance whatever initiative that I'm working on, whether this community or another community or whoever I may be.
Can you explain on the exam? I've never heard of an exam that does, that runs the same as that. Where they throw in so many questions that they don't count them. They only count certain questions. Why do they have an exam where they throw in 20, 25 questions that they're not going to grade?
I have no idea. The exam, it dates back to Roman times where you're answering questions about the grid pattern and zoning to analyzing SWOT charts and other types of analytical, statistical types of analysis. It's a very, very intense exam. I don't know how they do it, but it is highly sought after, and any planner who has it is usually highly sought after as well.
And final question. Why is it that our Massachusetts universities and colleges don't have a great pass-fail rate? Other than like Tufts University, who's right up there compared to some of the other schools in the country. Tufts actually comes out much better on a pass-fail rate than Harvard University. Can you explain, do you have any feelings on that?
No personal feelings. I think every university and college out there is struggling to find their own in different types of paths, whether it be business community, education, whatever it is that they're seeking in terms of getting themselves on the map.
No, thank you.
Selectman Dunn?
Well, I'm looking aboard, hopefully, and this board has been trying to hopefully become more business savvy. You mentioned infrastructure. As you get to know Groveland, we do not have a big business background because of our land mass, land use, et cetera, downtown's changing. Do you think that you could lend a hand on that end of it? Do you think that you have enough knowledge to help us on that end of it?
Definitely. When we were interviewed, and during the interview, the interview committee had suggested that there were some challenges being a smaller community. But I did some research too, and I found that you guys are actually part of the Complete Streets program already. So you already have a policy initiative in place that opens a lot of grant opportunities to utilize some of that. Kind of combine that with your Chapter 90 funding that you're already receiving, and you can find a lot more in terms of infrastructure projects that you can actually expand upon. Instead of just paving a street, you can take it one step further. Additionally, on that level, there are a lot of other business and economic development opportunities that stem from smaller grants, or just, again, advocating for or just expressing your inventory in terms of what you're looking for your community. You have a lot, what's the lot size, what can it be zoned for, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a certain type of business? You can put that out in brochures, you can put it out in your actual, on your website. You can do a lot of advertising. Merrimack Valley Planning Commission has a website, which is Merrimack Valley Means Business, I believe it is. So you can kind of utilize that and kind of link it to your website and expand upon that. So there's a lot of different ways that you can actually grow within the community. And that all really kind of stems from that constant planning effort and that constant attention and care that you give that specific area or that specific attention that you're looking for.
Right, yeah, I just was, this weekend, I was reading the Chapter 90 brochure about all the chapter. I never realized you can put landscaping in there. I never realized you can do a lot more than, this town's kind of went for the roads only, but there's a lot you can put in that Chapter 90. I didn't realize it, and it really could benefit the business people as well, so.
Of course.
I won't hold you up all night, but thank you, and hopefully you get elected, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appointed. She's not
Appointed,
elected.
sorry, appointed.
One step at a
I
time.
think she'd
Yeah.
win the election. Selectman Carpenter.
Thank you for applying. It's clear that, oops. Thank you for applying. It's clear that you're very qualified. I guess I just wonder, like, so you've been in 3 positions, and it looks like you've stayed at each of them for about a year, and it looks like you're coming from a senior planner position to this position. I guess I just want to understand a little bit, what's your rationale for moving to Groveland?
Okay, definitely. So essentially, I started off in Methuen. It was a grant-funded position. It was a program coordinator, so I only had a year
Okay.
with that particular position. So then I was forced almost to look for a new position. So then I moved over to North Andover, and I was staff planner there. And I actually it was a great move at that point in time because I learned a lot more about the board and the permitting process and Chapter 40A and zoning and all of that stuff that really, I think, made me a better planner all in of itself. And then actually, after being there for 2 years, the city of Methuen finally got the funding to make a permanent position for what I was doing previously, and taking that to the next level with all of the additional information that I had learned really kind of made that a great opportunity. But then, in this particular instance, which I expressed to the interview committee, this is a brand-new position. There's not opportunities like this that exist within the Merrimack Valley. You don't get a brand-new town planner position posted these days. And the ability to take that position and run with it and have a blank sheet of paper and draw whatever it is that you want and you think that you can do, that's a really, really hard opportunity to pass up,
Okay.
regardless of being there for almost a year.
All right, thank you. That's all.
Selectman Wood.
Yeah, so like I said before, the process with Sam and Mike and Denise that they put you through, I have full respect for, so I know that they did their due diligence and called your references and everything on that, so I don't have a lot of questions. I went through your resume, very qualified. I like the grant writing, I like the zoning background, I like the MPA and the minor in history. That's what I have too.
What do
Good
you
for
do
you.
with that?
What's that?
What do you do with that?
I don't use it, but I've got it.
Exactly.
So good for you for using it. So no, I think you'd be a great asset to the town. We definitely need somebody like you here. So I think, we'll, I guess, take a vote soon unless you got any questions, Bill.
Yeah, I just want to add that I am also of the like mind of Selectman Wood and Selectman Dunn. I'll reiterate that I have supreme confidence and trust in the committee. I value their opinions, and their opinions of you are very high, and I can see why. You're a pretty smart cookie. And listening to answer some of your questions, you remind me of Mona Lisa Vito on the witness stand and my cousin Vinny. You know everything, which is nice. I think you'd be a tremendous addition to the town. I can understand your wanting to come to Groveland because it's a trail that hasn't been blazed. You're Lewis and Clark, you're Davy Crockett. You get to explore this wild wilderness that nobody's ever trampled before, so that's great. I thank you for applying, and I hope we can keep you for another 50 or 60 years anyways. I think it'd be a great asset. And you know you have to work with Mr. Dempsey?
I do,
And
and
you
I
still
am
want
looking
the
forward
job?
to that. Yes, I am, for sure.
She's a winner.
Do we have an office?
Do we have an office? I'm sure we'll find one. We'll make some room. I know we still have the water company, the
Moving
water
out.
department will be moving out, which will be, should
End
be
of, end of
opening
fall
up
or
some
something?
space
Yeah.
in the town. And then if we can work on that senior center and the expansion here and the expansion there, we might get a little more room, so you never know. So I'm all done with my questioning.
Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Rebecca Oldham, town planner, effective September 4th through June 30th, 2019, pending successful negotiations.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? See none, do you have any? Okay, all those in favor?
Yes.
All those opposed? Congratulations, you are a new town planner pending successful negotiations. You don't look like a tough negotiator, but I don't know, sometimes a book can be deceiving.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along, it's review of Groveland's departmental fees. So in the packet, looks like you all have a survey from July 2018 of the types of licenses and fees the towns, some of the towns around us are charging, and I think you'll notice we are severely deficient in some of these fees, which would, we could really use some. I know that last meeting, the board voted against recreational marijuana. Last year, we voted against medical. I just want to caution the board that neither vote made us immune or insulated us from the simple fact that it's legal everywhere else in the state. The only thing we did was cut off a source of revenue to try and police our streets and patrol them to make sure that they're safe. Without taxing the citizenry, this might be our only other avenue to try and fill that gap for training police officers in drug awareness, impairment, maybe hire another part-time officer, maybe get another cruiser. So I'm interested in hearing your thoughts based on the last couple of votes we had. I know those votes had to be based on public safety, and this would go directly toward public safety and the safety of our roads and the streets and our citizens. Any thoughts on the matter?
On these?
Absolutely. I mean, for example, a liquor license, an annual liquor license in Groveland runs $500 to $800. Well, we look at other towns that are charging thousands, $4,500, $3,000, $4,000, $2,500. We're way behind the times as far as being up to date on you know, the real social cost of these drugs, where these towns seem to be a little bit more ahead of us on that curve. So I'd like to see us raise some of these, a lot of these, if not all of them, somewhere in the neighborhood of our surrounding communities.
So I would be in support of raising the liquor license, but I don't think, so I don't sort of view us as being equal to like North Andover and Andover. I think those are much larger communities. So I'm in support of raising it, but I'm not sure that I'm in support of raising it that high. I don't think that the liquor stores in Groveland probably get the same amount of traffic as a liquor store in North Andover or Andover.
Yeah, but where's the relevance? I mean,
Well, it's
whether they have the
rel-
same traffic or not, they still will put the same number of potentially drunk drivers on our roads.
well, it has to do with the income, though, and whether it's attractive for a liquor store to be here if we raise the fees too much.
Look, most of these fees are gonna be passed on to the consumer, so if you're not using the drugs, you don't pay anything. It's not like a tax. The only thing you're gonna do if you're not using these drugs, you're gonna benefit from the extra revenue, from the additional police presence, and the additional public safety that these increase in fees can bring. Other than that, you're immune to any increase in the fees.
So has there already been a determination that any increase in fees would go towards public safety? Has that already been established?
It hasn't been established, but that would be my plan. I mean, we have to somehow safeguard our streets from the obvious. We now have the law of the land, and even though Groveland has, this board has voted to restrict those kind of activities, we still have other towns around us that will not restrict those activities. And I think it would be foolish to think that these folks aren't gonna be driving through our towns. So, I mean, somehow we've gotta figure out
There's
some
nothing
kind
on
of
here for
revenue.
marijuana that I see,
No, nothing. What made you say marijuana?
because you said that our, sounds like our recent vote is what has trumped this conversation right now, but, I mean, there's a liquor store in Groveland, there's one in Georgetown, there's one in Haverhill, they're gonna be, you know what I mean, it is what it is, as far as liquor, but as far as marijuana, recreational marijuana, it's not on here, we don't have it, and
Right.
if they drive through Groveland, if one of our officers pull them over, you know what I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, you wanna have enough money for the officers to turn around and do what they need to do, but we don't even know what the officers can do to pull them over, they don't even know, they don't have any in the plan yet, how to even diagnose they're under the influence of marijuana.
Well, that's part of my point. They need.
So that was
they
part of
need
my
the
point, the way
training.
that I voted, is we were trying to jump the gun, but yet, if you want to have that conversation about marijuana, medical marijuana could have went in a back road in Groveland somewhere maybe, and it wouldn't be going across our streets and what have you, so.
Well,
I mean-
the conversation for medical or recreational, I think, is already gone, but the
Okay.
problem still exists. We're gonna have surrounding communities that do have it.
Right.
They're gonna be driving through our streets, we can't stop it. So where do we get the revenue to train the police for drug impairment? Where do we get the revenue
Well, if you looked at
to
this,
add the
if we
police?
just took the liquor license line, I
Yeah.
mean, Georgetown's 800, West Newbury's 500, the other towns are higher. I mean, Merrimack's 850, we're at 800, so what are we gonna go up, $50?
No, I would suggest making the minimum at least 2,000, if not 2,500, for a store, and maybe double that for a restaurant. Because a restaurant now is different. They're not buying the liquor at the store, and we all know the minute they get in the car, they're gonna crack the beer, or, open the bottle of Jack or whatever and start driving. The establishments, the restaurants is different. You're consuming the alcohol or drug there, and then you're going out in the street. And we all know that people will get served when they're intoxicated. We know that people underage will get served, and it makes for a dangerous situation. And somehow we've got to fill that void without taxing, reaching further into the pockets of the taxpayer and say, well, we need an extra $10 from everybody so we can train 14 cops or whatever, policemen, patrolmen, and to be able to spot a person under the influence of marijuana as well as alcohol. And where's that money gonna come from? So my plan is to get it from these fees, which, again, doesn't hurt the taxpayer, it only hurts the person that's gonna go in and buy these drugs. If you don't buy them, you don't have any, there's no penalty to you, there's no tax to you, it's only a benefit. Because those revenues, if I have it my way, will go toward that patrolman, that patrol car, that extra training that this town desperately needs now.
But if we turned around and we just sat there and said, let's close up all the liquor stores and restaurants in Groveland, and we don't have to deal with them.
I have no problem closing up the liquor stores in Groveland. I mean, there's one across the bridge. There's one, I think, 6 miles down the road.
Cars are still gonna come through Groveland if they.
Exactly. Just like we have the problem with marijuana. They're still gonna come through here. So we
Yeah.
still need to raise some revenue somewhere.
Okay.
We still need, even if we close them all, we're still gonna need to raise the revenue to train our patrolmen to spot these offenders, right?
I agree. So if we raise this up to whatever you said, $2,000, so we're, what are we gonna go up, $1,800? Is that enough to train a guy for the year just on that one line item? I mean, I'd rather not, I would rather,
Well, that's
yeah,
just-
I
that's
agree
just
with you
one.
saying, we need to go up, but, I mean,
That's just one fee. We don't charge anything for a one-day liquor license. Everybody else seems to charge one. We don't charge anything for a liquor application fee. Just about everybody else seems to charge one. We're way down on the common particular, Class 2 auto annual, boat ramp mooring, MLC seems to be pretty much in line, demand fees pretty much in line, birth certificates way low, marriage, death, dog license. All of these look archaic in their fee structure. It has to cost the town more in just paperwork and administration fees than we're collecting for some of these certificates and licenses. At least we should recoup the actual real cost of what it takes to do some of these things. And I don't think $5, I haven't done a quick cost study, but I gotta think $5 is about 3 minutes worth of work, and after that, we're losing money. Between pay, benefits, PTO. I'll have to ask Denise, maybe you can help us with that.
How much it I just know that it's a lot lower than those bottom half of the fees. that
Right.
Surround it, yeah.
But maybe when you get some time, you can do some cost analysis breakdowns for us to say, with benefits, fully loaded, what's the burden?
Okay.
So if we, for example, we charge $5 for marriage certificate, but in actuality, it costs us $8.50 in time and materials, we just lost $3.50, right? $3. Somehow, we have to recoup that money. If nothing at all, we need to break even, right?
Yes. Can I talk?
Yes, absolutely.
I was just waiting for my turn, that's all.
Mr. Wood, chime in.
Yeah, no, I agree that we have to do something with the way the liquor license are issued now. They are way lower than surrounding areas. And I think you're right, we need to find a way to fund some of these programs that are gonna be coming down one way or another. But it also speaks to the bigger issue of, our taxes really haven't changed all that much. It's the overrides that have changed. Groveland has a hefty appetite for funding new equipment, new land, new projects, new everything, overriding the Prop 2.5, and then forgetting about it, and then all of a sudden your tax bill comes and they say, what happened to my taxes? Why did they go up so much? Well, the tax rate really didn't change all that much. It's everything else that we voted for. So either we need to find a way to fund those kind of programs, more business, different business, or we need to tax different types of licenses. There's only two options.
That's what I'm left with. And right now, we have a business development committee, or the beginnings of one, but I don't see that really bearing fruit for some time down the road. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, I don't think it's something that's gonna happen
Spring.
overnight.
in the
Spring would be good, spring would be good. Yes, Selectman Watson.
On the liquor licenses, if you look at the municipalities, the ones that are low, for instance, like West Newbury, 300 for a restaurant, 500 for the store. Boxford, 400. Merrimack, 850, probably for both. These communities don't have very many establishments, but when you get into Salisbury, North Andover, Haverhill, Amesbury, Middleton, they certainly have a lot more establishments that they tax. I can only think of a restaurant, I can only think of one in the town of Groveland that serves alcohol. And, you know, maybe you could help me out if there's another one, but,
There's 5 restaurants in Groveland that sell alcohol.
I'm sorry, how many?
There's 5 restaurants in Groveland that sell alcohol.
I thought so.
5,
And then there's 3 all liquor stores and 1 beer and wine store.
what are the restaurants? I mean, I can think of the Pub 97 and,
Nichols Village,
all right, that's
Tea
a,
Garden?
Cedardale, and Groveland Fairways.
I forgot about Cedardale. Those are corporate functions for the most part, right?
Yes.
You ever been to one of those corporate functions? I have.
Yep.
It's a lot of alcohol flowing in those corporate functions.
So those are the $800 ones because they're on-site all liquor. And then Jerry's Variety is just beer and wine, and that's 500. And then the other 3 Route 97 liquors, Groveland Market Liquor and Nyrons, are all liquor package stores.
but it's not exactly an overabundance of people looking to open up a liquor store or a restaurant in the town of Groveland because our fees are low. I just hate to pass this stuff on to the restaurants and maybe even the liquor stores, because if you think they're gonna eat the cost themselves, that's not true. They're going to pass this on to the consumers, and I'm sure that a majority of these liquor stores, I can't say much for the restaurants, but the liquor stores, they're probably patronized by the people of the town of Groveland, so it's gonna hurt them in the pocketbook in the long run. If you raised it to $2,000 for a store, they're not gonna eat the cost. They're gonna raise their prices, and it's gonna hurt the residents of the town of Groveland.
Only the ones that choose to participate in consuming
Well, that's
alcohol.
true, but I could
You don't
see,
consume alcohol if you're not using the drugs.
I could see
You
the,
don't- you don't have a
raising
problem.
the one-day liquor license, we're at 0. It looks like 50 seems to be liquor application fee. I think there's only two that charge for a liquor application fee. Andover, 125, North Andover at 100, and Topsfield and Haverhill, 300 and 200 each.
Selectman Dunn.
And these are annual fees. One-time annual fees, am I correct?
That's what I believe them to be.
Okay.
But only the first, the first line item, yes.
Well, I'm just talking about the liquor license.
They
right
all-
now.
they
Yeah,
all
the
are.
top line
It's
item.
annual, so it's once a year.
Correct.
Okay, so if we would have, number one, does anyone know when the last time we went up and the fees were?
I have no idea. when-
No idea.
No.
Okay. So most likely, we probably didn't go up in it any time recently, I'm sure.
Well, Bill, you've been selectman 5 years now?
Right, and we haven't touched these at all.
So it's been more than 5 years, we can
So-
safely say.
My point is, don't go up and kill the people, but go up on each one of them, a number. Let's get a little bit this year and a little bit next year, maybe, but let's go up on that one item. If we went up, let's just say we went up $500 in a year for a liquor store to make up $500 is not a lot of money when you're selling alcohol. You know,
Again,
or a restaurant to make $500 when they can make $500 in a night, or more than that in a night, so.
couple of hours.
So I would say if we went up $500 on each one of them,
I'd like to see it segregated as well. difference between a store and a restaurant. There's a big difference between somebody that's buying it in the packy and someone that's drinking, could be all night at a restaurant.
Except what about the people who frequent that restaurant and don't drink? Is that money being passed along to them, or is it only being passed along via the alcohol use?
You'd have to ask the particular owner of the establishment. I don't know.
But if you went up $500, let's just say, on a restaurant, and you divided that number over how many people frequent that restaurant over the year, it could be peanuts. You know what I'm saying? Or a liquor store, I don't know how many people go in a liquor store, I don't have those stats, but $500 over a year's time in a liquor store, I don't think is gonna croak them.
So I don't think that there's any issue with the liquor store. $500 is not, for me, is not a deal breaker. I think with the other ones, it's just a matter of sort of bringing it in line. The only one that I'm hesitant about is bringing up to $2,000 the liquor license.
Well, again,
But the others, I think, you know, the one-day liquor license, bring it up to $50. The liquor application fee, bring that to $50. Not every town charges for a liquor application fee. But you could have that be $50. And then bring the other ones up commensurate with the others. So common victualler, you could bring that up to 100. Class 2 auto annual to 100. Boat ramp and mooring, you can bring that to, is that, one is for resident and one
I
is
think it would, yeah,
non-resident?
I think so.
Well, to me, the non-resident should be significantly higher than the resident. The MLC, most of those appear to be $25. Demand fees, bring up the birth certificate, marriage certificate, death certificate, and dog licenses to $10, which is consistent with what most of the other communities have.
Are we gonna do these individually, or are we gonna do them?
MLC,
That's a municipal lien certificate that attorneys request from the treasurer's office to make sure the parcels are clear of any debt, make sure their taxes are paid, the water sewers have been paid. So the attorney pays for that at closing.
so we do have examples where towns are charging residents and non-residents different,
No,
or
they're
residents
gonna-
and commercial.
So, residential and commercial, because they're obviously all residents of the town if they're requesting an MLC from the town.
So we could do something similar as well, residential and commercial.
We don't really have a large enough commercial base, I think, to make that worthwhile. And I think also, at this point, if we're really trying to attract businesses, I think we need to be cautious in terms of what fees we raise.
If $100 turns off any business, I don't want that business in Groveland because they can't afford to be here. I'm not sure that's a sound business.
It's
If
usually a
100
one-time payment
Yeah.
when they're closing their loan.
If
It's not an
$100 makes
annual-
someone turn tail and run, I'm probably opening the door, because $100 in today's day and age, that's, I mean, less than pocket change, especially if you're a commercial business, a viable commercial business that plans to make money. It's a drop in the hat.
So if you were to take let's just start by saying, if we were to take the liquor license one, if we brought 500 on top of the 500, you're talking 1,000 there. And if you put 500 on top of the 800, we're talking 1,400 there annual.
13.
I'm sorry, 13.
And you're saying 1,000 for the store and 1,300 for a restaurant? Is that what it breaks down to?
Right.
I think I think restaurant is listed first and store is listed second.
No, you were right, so the beer and wine store is the 500, and then the 800 is the restaurant.
All else.
And then the liquor stores that sell all liquor is 700.
Okay, so we have 3 classes.
But you're just adding 500 to each of them, is the
So
bottom
we go
line.
1,000, 1,200, and 13.
Yeah, I didn't see the 700 all on.
Well, to me, there's a big difference between a package store and a restaurant where someone's drinking potentially all night. It's a greater risk. They should pay a greater amount, proportionally greater amount, because their risk is proportionally higher. I mean, would anybody disagree with that?
I'll make a motion on the first one to do what I just said, on the liquor license annual, to increase each one of them by 500.
I would second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Wood?
I think that's a good start. I think everything we're talking about and what Lisa just went over is a good start. I think it's a Band-Aid for a bigger underlying problem of the amount of business and type of business that is in Groveland. I think we're gonna have to look at, you know, what we're willing to put in Groveland to meet the demands of the purse strings. So,
Any other discussion? So your motion is to raise each of the fees by $500?
Yes,
So
it
it'd be
is.
500 to 1,000, 700 to 1,200, and 800 to 1,300.
Yep.
I personally don't think it's enough. The restaurant is the 13? I personally don't think that's enough. I mean, I think we should go to 2,000 on the restaurant. I'll agree with you on the other two, but I think the restaurants and these establishments bring just so much more significant risk that they should pay more than the other two classes, only because, as I said, they present a more immediate and significant risk.
I agree with you saying, but I'm looking at it that I don't wanna croak them all in one year. This is annual, we can go back and look at it again next year, we could possibly be bringing it up again next year, we'll see how this works. I just don't wanna, I understand where you're coming from, there's more liability come out the door of a restaurant, they sit there all night, or bar, whatever.
Or seated deal. When
Right.
they have a corporate event
I
all day in the
understand,
sun.
I understand, but I just wanna look at it, like Selectman Carpenter just said, I don't wanna croak a business, we're trying to make business come to Groveland and stay in Groveland, et cetera, so, I don't wanna, that's just me. I'd rather stay the 5, and the 5. I think it's a start, it's helping us, we can do this again next year and look at it again next year.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, we'll carry that line item.
So I would then make a motion that we increase the liquor license one day to $50.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to increase it from $0 to $50 a one-day liquor license. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I would make a motion, so can you clarify what the liquor application fee is versus these other two items?
So the annual and the one-day liquor license is them actually getting the certificate or the license to serve alcohol. The
Mhm.
application fee is just for us to process the fee, or just to process the license in the application packet.
Is that for a brand-new licensee only?
Or
Or
anyone who applies.
so each year they have to do one of those?
I believe so. I
And
think
Yeah, I think
what's
every-
involved in that? Do you have to run queries, do background checks?
to make sure their insurance will cover everything that needs to be done.
So you're doing a lot of work, somebody in this town's doing a lot of work for nothing, is what you're saying.
But there's really only like 3 or 4 municipalities as a whole that even charge that fee. So I want to be cautious about,
That got back to me. I was trying to collect this data for a month, and there was a few towns that wouldn't return phone calls or emails, so.
oh,
If
it's,
there's not a slash or an NA, it just means that they never got back to me, so or I couldn't find it on their website, so I don't know if they charge.
okay, gotcha. So I would make a motion that we charge a $50 application fee for the liquor licenses, liquor application fee.
seconded?
Any further discussion? I have a question. Does $100, $50, was that your motion? Will $50 cover the administration cost, the true cost for all the paperwork and the work you have to do to clear this?
I would think $50 would be sufficient enough for Denise, because Denise does the applications now, so I would think it would be enough.
And Denise is at a higher pay scale, too.
She is.
But I don't think we're getting a huge volume either.
Again, it might be something you wanna revisit again next year.
I would second $50.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
I would make a motion that we increase common victualler to $100.
I'd second that.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor?
I would make a motion that we increase Class 2 auto annual to $100.
I'd second it.
Have a motion
Two $100?
Yes.
from 50 to 100. That's the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor?
And I would make a motion that we increase the boat ramp mooring to $25, leave it at $25 for residents and increase it to $100 for non-residents.
I'll second that.
Can I ask a question?
We have discussion. Absolutely, Mr.
How many, non-residents do we have?
We get quite a few
Yeah.
non-residents. I have a whole spreadsheet that, I don't have it with me, but I know we do get quite a few.
I think there's more non-residents than there are residents.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Goes to 100.
The MLC fee seems to be consistently about $25 across the board. So I would, for me, I'm gonna skip that one and go to birth certificates and make a motion to raise birth certificate, marriage certificate, death certificate, and dog licenses to $10.
Did you make a motion on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that. That sounds reasonable.
So you have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yes, Selectman Wood.
Here I'm on the other side. I would prefer not to raise those for the residents of town. But, I mean, it's only $5 more, but still.
And I don't think it's necessarily that people who are getting those are necessarily residents. They're just people that were either born here or married here or died here.
Yep.
And I think in this case, of these four, only the dog license is an annual license, correct? And the other,
Yes.
the other three would be basically on
As needed,
demand.
yep.
So nobody's gonna get born every day, get married every day, hopefully, or die every day, God forbid. So I think that $10
Is very
isn't-
reasonable.
Isn't bad.
If you look at some of the fees on the dog licenses, they're lower for a spayed or neutered dog.
They're higher if they're intact.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah, sorry.
So
Do you wanna check them out? I mean, I don't have that time.
they just have to bring you'd bring documentation that your dog has been spayed or neutered
You have to bring your
when you
written
apply.
certificate to the-
So we wouldn't be checking them out visually.
Listen, I don't know.
So Ed, are you proposing a friendly amendment to increase the dog license fee for intact? Or you want to leave it as is?
Or-
Why
No, I
don't we,
think
why
it
don't
is.
we go to 10, and then we can look at it in another year.
Okay, so the motion is as is to go to $10 on birth, marriage, death, and dog licenses.
We had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Opposed,
Dog lover.
dog lover.
And you can't afford $10.
Let's circle back to the MLC. Again, it looks like a lot of the towns have done this. They've differentiated between a resident and commercial. And I don't want to hurt the residents. It's far from my objective here. But commercial enterprises are different. And again, if $100 makes someone turn tail and run from Groveland, probably not the kind of business we really want. It's probably not gonna be a long-term business. It's probably gonna be like that restaurant down there in Georgetown that changes hands every 60 days. So I'd like to see the residents stay at 25, but for commercial, we implement a new fee structure, another tier.
Is it a
for
motion?
example. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we increase the MLC fees for commercial or non-residential to $75. Make it 100, make it an even number.
And leave the 25 alone.
Leave the 25 alone for the resident. I mean, again, the last thing I want to do is tax the resident anymore.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second.
If you look at it, there's only two that charge for a different fee, North Andover and Andover. The rest of them are all $25, a couple of them at $50. There's only two, Andover and North Andover, that charge different between the residents and commercial.
Those are forward-thinking towns, I guess. And we can be a third.
Yeah, we just got a planner.
We just got a planner, yeah, we've got to pay for that somehow. So we do have a motion and a second on the table. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as I see none, all those in favor? All those opposed?
I'll oppose it.
Okay. I think that takes care of that.
Bill, did we go over demand fees? Is that included?
I didn't add demand fees because they were pretty consistent with other communities as they are.
Yeah, we didn't touch upon demand fees. I think, I mean, we can.
Is that like a non-payment fee?
Yes, like,
On your excise tax, when you don't pay it on time,
So you don't pay
speaking
your
from
excise tax, you get
experience.
taxed again.
But now, is that money,
credit card, you would get a late charge.
does that money go to the state or does it come to the
It comes
town?
to the town.
So, the only people we'd heard are the
Should really
people that
make it
don't
painful.
want to stink and pay their bills on time, right?
Correct.
Or
So-
forget to pay it on time.
Oh, yeah, I forgot my pay double, too. I mean, I see $20, $20,
The highest it can go
$25.
is $30.
Oh, so North Andover's getting the max.
State law, can't go any higher than $30, can't be any more than 5, it can't be any higher than 30.
It's worth even entertaining.
That money comes directly to the town, and what's it typically, is it to cover cost of sending out additional billing?
I'm not sure where it goes, that's a question for Denise that I can follow up with you guys. I know that we do generate quite a fee.
So Newbury is a reasonable comparative town, and they're at 30.
Mm.
That is right.
Merrimack has so much more commercial than we do, so they can,
Merrimack is $5. Amesbury's at $5.
Well, I think the other
That's
piece
the
of that
minimum.
is important to know is that when you pay it late, you're also paying interest. So the town is getting the interest and the late fee, not just the late fee.
You're assuming that they pay.
right.
We've had instances where people have not paid for years.
Right, but they're still going to get all the interest accrued in addition to.
Right, but whose fault is that?
I'm just saying, you know, if you pay your electric bill late, you don't get a $15 fee. I'm not in support of raising that one, but I defer to the rest of the board if they're.
No, but you lose your discount.
Yes, that 15% discount.
You lose it,
whatever
you
is.
lose it, so you're always losing something.
I just think that if it's the demand fees, I think if someone's having a problem paying a bill, I mean, obviously if they forgot or if they deliberately didn't pay, yeah, but I mean, if they're having a problem paying their bills, you know, we're gonna make it in the interest. I mean, I know it's not a lot of money unless there's a lot of these going on every day in the town of Groveland. Are we gonna make that much revenue from this?
I believe there's quite a bit of demand fees that come in.
Mm-hmm.
They're not paying the bill, we're probably not getting the interest either. So we probably won't get the demand fees either. I
Right,
mean,
that's my
I guess
point.
at the
You
end
know
of
what?
the day, we won't get any.
Respectfully, I don't really agree with that because if you don't pay that, you lose your license, you can't drive your car. So I think we generally are getting those fees because the consequence of not paying it is too significant. If you're gonna lose your license or your insurance because you haven't paid your excise fees, chances are you're gonna pay them.
I just can't agree with you there, because I see people driving a suspended license, 16, 17-time DUI. They could care less whether it's suspended, revoked,
But that
destroyed.
person, we're not going to get any money from anyway.
Exactly. Some of these folks, you won't get any money from either. So just because you take away someone's license means nothing in this state, or to most people. They'll continue to drive with or without a
I wouldn't say
license.
most people, because I would say the average person is concerned about losing their license.
Yeah, the average responsible person.
Right.
I
So for
agree.
sake of argument, I'll make a motion that we go up on the demand fees to $20. Kind of what everyone else is doing.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? There's none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, I think we've covered every line item there now. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so, moving right along, we have votes of the board. We have minutes from the July 9th, 2018 meeting.
They look to be in order, and I'll move for passage.
We have a motion to approve the minutes from July 9th, 2018. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All those, any further discussion? There's none. All those in favor?
Yes.
Abstain.
You weren't here.
I wasn't here.
We have executive session minutes from July 9th, 2018.
Those also look to be in order. I'll move for passage.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing there's none. All those in favor?
Abstain.
We have accept the resignation of Jeff Pappas from the Capital Improvement Committee. This is something we tabled 2 weeks ago.
Did you have a conversation with him?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
So do we have to make a motion on that? I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Jeff Pappas from the Capital Improvement Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, I'll discuss it. You're gonna hear something from a politician you never hear from any politician. I take full responsibility for this. I know what it was like to sit on that Capital Improvement Committee. I know the feeling of, that they felt, because they were on it a lot longer than I was, that their voices were not heard, that their work was not appreciated, that their efforts were not rewarded. I take complete and personal responsibility for Mr. Pappas's resignation because of my failure to reach out to them more often, to make them feel that they were an active part of this community, and a very important and vital part of our budgeting process from year to year, as well as our long-term planning. So this is on me, gentlemen and ladies. It's something you'll never hear from any other politician. That's why I can't stand politicians and why I'll never be one. Again, Mr. Pappas, I really appreciate your years and years and years of service, your outstanding commitment to the town of Groveland, which was just on display every time we met at that Capital Improvement Committee. It's a tremendous loss to the town, and I feel responsible for it, and I want to apologize. Other than that, my discussion is done. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. We approve a 2018 common victualler license with a BYOB license for a Touch of Italian, LLC DBA, the Groveland Diner, 1 Elm Park. I see all the paperwork is intact. I didn't know that. Every time I seem to go drive by there, it's closed. Is it open again?
Well, this is for them to reopen. They have been closed. So I would make a motion that we approve the common victual license with BYOB license. What is it, BYOB?
Bring your own booze.
Well, no, I know what it stands for. Are they looking for that daily, all the time? Do we know that?
I'm not sure, I'd have to check with Denise.
Yeah, I was looking through it too, and I didn't really, I was trying to find if they were looking for a specific date or time frame.
I didn't see anything that said anything about a specific date, which would
No.
lead me to assume that it's a regular thing.
Well, they're only gonna be open in the evenings on Friday nights from 5 to 9. All the other days, they're only open till 2 PM. I'm assuming that they're not looking to serve alcohol.
Well, that's why it's BYOB.
Oh, but
So if you want to have a beer with your eggs,
Nothing
Is that a
gets done.
legal thing in Groveland to bring your own?
It's up to this board, the licensing board, I believe, is,
The
It's-
former business that was there had that license.
Oh, they did?
I got a question, you know. On the first page of this application, a common victrola license, a fee $100. We just approved to raise it to 100, it was 50. Where'd the other 50 come from? Is that from the bring your own booze license?
I don't see how it could be, because that fee would have been at least $500.
Then how do we get
they're
the?
not, they're not asking for BYOB. We don't have a fee structure for that, I don't think.
Then how do we get, we just raised the fee to 100, how is this application that he's making out, the fee over on your right-hand side, $100?
ESP, I don't know.
Where does it say?
On this page right here,
Yeah, on the top of it.
Oh, because, it must be because it says approved for beer and wine only. There must be an additional fee for that, is all that I can think of. Because it says on
No
there,
liquor.
approved for beer and wine only. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that either.
But I'm assuming
I
that,
don't know if this is one day or if this is all the time.
but I'm also assuming that if we're permitting this, and Denise has put it before us, that she's researched that it's permissible.
I would
I mean,
imagine.
I trust her, I trust her judgment.
Well, she's saying that the application is legal by the statute of law, and they've complied with all the paperwork, such as certificate of insurance and this and that. However, it basically doesn't give them permission. It just tells me that all the paperwork is in order.
Well, no, this one does. Approved for BYOB. This is what Denise,
Right, so all the paperwork is in order, everything checks out as copacetic.
but I'm assuming she wouldn't have printed this if it didn't meet the guidelines, is what I'm saying.
Right, she had to.
Right.
Doesn't mean we have to grant it.
Right. I guess my feeling is, like, if we're going back to trying to be friendlier to businesses, I'm not sure that I am opposed to this. You know, obviously, if there's irresponsible behavior happening there, we could revisit it, like any town. But absent that, I think it's a reasonable request.
Can we approve this and have a stipulation that Denise looks over it?
I think Denise has already looked over it.
Denise prepared it, so she
Okay.
would've-
so I asked her if BYOB is permissible in town, and she said yes, as long as they apply with a common vic license.
Which they
So
have.
that answers our question.
And does she know if this is for every day? I mean, 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, you can BYOB?
Or is it just for that Friday night?
She's on vacation.
Good thing I got my magic box.
Because my understanding with the previous owner is that it was just for the Friday evening. It wasn't BYOB the other days.
My understanding is whether they applied for specific nights with that license, the BYOB, and it wasn't just kind of open-ended.
Right.
I bet that applying for it for
Mr. Chair?
every night, because that's probably what they want to do with their business.
They're only, if you look at the hours of operation, Tuesday through Friday, 6 to 2. Friday nights, 5 to 9, the only night they're open. Saturday, 6 to 2, Sunday, 7 to 1. Now, the only night they're open is Friday night, 5 to 9.
Yeah. Mr. Selectman Wood.
Mr. Chair, through the power of technology, this is $100 for the CV and the BYOB, and it is for every day they're open, just like the former diner was too.
So we'd be granting them permission for their customers to bring their own booze at 6 in the morning, if we said, all their hours, right?
Yes.
And they've listed their hours down.
Are we permitted to, can we put a stipulation that we're only approving the BYOB for the evening of Friday night? I'm really not comfortable with approving BYOB for a breakfast place. Like, I don't see the rationale for that.
I agree with you, but once we say yes, there would be no restriction from somebody bringing in alcohol at 6 o'clock in the morning to have breakfast.
Why can't we put a restriction on it?
I don't know if we can. Can we?
Have a secretary down there and type it in.
Hey, easy with the,
Going overseas.
I think we could amend the Friday nights only.
For the BYOB, Friday
Yeah,
nights only.
exactly. Exactly.
That's the stipulation.
As I recall, that's what they had originally asked for, right?
I
It's
believe
not
they did.
spelled out that way
It was
now,
only-
though.
It's not spelled out this way now, but I believe they originally asked for that Friday night.
I believe
No
that
other
as well.
day.
Mhm.
the short answer is no. You cannot put a restriction on it.
So it's all or nothing.
That's what I'm guessing, yes.
Okay. If it's all or nothing,
How many people are gonna be bringing beer and wine to breakfast? I mean, you never know, but I don't think all of them will.
not the responsible people, Bill, but the
Right.
responsible people are never the ones we worry about. It's always the ones that you know.
I don't think that would happen.
Was there ever a problem down there before with the old restaurant? Did we ever have a problem with this BYOB thing
No.
with them that we know of?
Is anybody
The diner
carding?
has always been BYOB.
My next question, is anybody carding these patrons as they come in to make sure they're of legal age?
You don't have that responsibility at a BYOB. But you know, one of the things that I'm looking at is that they do have a responsibility to prove that, well, other municipalities have required them to have additional liability insurance when they have BYOB.
Which they do.
So they have liability on the liquor piece as well?
They have general liability and then an aggregate limit. They have all their insurance.
It's 2 million. Age occurrence, personal million, general liability, 2 million.
Proof of a liquor liability insurance for bodily injury or death. I don't know.
And Mike, we can't put any kind of, like a 60-day trial, 6-month type thing, no? See how it goes? Issue the license for 6 months rather than a year? Without the fee again, though, if they're good?
That's,
This would expire December 31st.
Okay, so that gives them enough time anyway, so.
So it'd be 6
August, September, that's about 6 months, so.
License with chapter 35. Bill has it.
Good job.
Bill has it. Could I see that for a second?
This?
Yeah.
Oh, it's here.
Oh.
It's
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
got everything.
Okay, so, general law, chapter 140.
Well, it expires December 13th, so we definitely
31st.
not putting up, well, December 31st, I yawned, but whatever. It's not like we're giving them a whole year. We have some time if something goes wrong. I'm sure the police will be involved if there's something wrong.
Well, we're giving them less than 5 months, really.
Right. And we're trying to make Groveland business savvy, so I'd hate to,
Could we table that for a few minutes? And, because I just want to look this up.
I'm not opposed to tabling it altogether till the next meeting, till we maybe get a little more clarification on,
Well, we can ask the owner to come in to discuss it,
yeah.
which probably would be a good idea.
I mean, the last time it was 5 to 9, which I had no problem with on Friday night, 5
Mhm.
to 9. But this seems to be a completely different
Free
change
rein
of
on it whenever,
direction.
yeah.
And I'm not sure, it seems to me that they sent, if I read the correspondence, the board of directors for this particular establishment authorized this particular individual, Giovanni Patel, to submit or apply for this. Maybe,
Wrong license. That's the next,
it's the next one?
that's a Route
Oh,
97
yeah, you're right, my bad,
David Jackson.
yeah. I would just like to be clear, does he intend for it to be all hours of operation, or just specifically like it was before, Friday nights, 5 to 9?
I would make a motion that we table this until further clarification, next board meeting.
I'll second that.
My only question is, when were they looking to open?
They're down there cleaning today and.
Because, I mean, I'm fine
whacking
with
and-
granting a license and tabling the BYOB issue. I mean, if they want to, if there's a way to approve the victualer's license and table the BYOB section, that wouldn't delay their opening.
Yeah, I just don't know how you do it, because.
Well, I think it would just be modified, so we could make that motion and this could be modified pending them coming before us to discuss the BYOB piece. So I think we could approve it and just say that we're tabling the BYOB piece until we've gathered further information.
Right now, we have a motion to table in a second. Is there any further discussion on that motion to table?
no discussion on a motion to table, according to Robert's rules.
Well, then we'll go with the expert on Robert's rules. In that case, all those in favor of tabling this discussion till the next meeting? Those against? Okay, so where do we go from here?
So I would make a motion that we table the BYOB component of the application and issue the victualer's license.
I'll second.
I thought we couldn't table for Robert's rule any vote to table. I thought we couldn't vote on vote to table.
No, you can't discuss.
The
Apparently.
motion to table failed.
No, but now we have another motion to table, part of the next motion.
Is that prohibited, Ed?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear him.
Is it prohibited to reinitiate a motion with a modification on a table?
Well, we had a motion to table, and it was defeated, so now we can discuss.
Right, but what I'm asking is, so I made a motion
To table half of it.
to table the BYOB component and to issue the victualer's license for the food component.
I'm not sure.
Well, I think we can err on, we don't have any definitive evidence that we can't do that. I just don't want to delay these people opening.
Well, on the other hand, we're only giving them less than 5 months. Let's see how it works. In 5 months, we can always, we have plenty of time to change it. If we have any problems, we as the licensing authority can, the licensing commission, whatever, we can bring them before us and handle something that we don't see as correct.
I would agree with that. So with that in mind, I would just make a motion that we approve it and that when it expires in the interim, we will have an opportunity to clarify further what it's going to be moving forward.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion to accept as is that what you're saying? And a second, any further discussion?
It was a long way around to get to accept it what it as is. I mean, that was a long discussion to go around in a circle to get back to what's in front of us to accept.
Any further discussion?
That was my only discussion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Yes.
Those opposed?
Opposed for wasting time.
Okay, approve the change of hours of Route 97 Liquors. Petition is to change the Sunday hours only to open 2 hours earlier. This change is allowed under Mass General Law 138, Section 15.
After reading over the paperwork, it's something that it is allowed. He's asking for 2 hours earlier on a Sunday to open, and it's allowed by law. So I'll make a motion that we approve the change of hours for Route 97 Liquors. Petition to change the Sunday hours only to open 2 hours earlier. I'll make a motion to that effect.
Can I ask a question? I don't think there's a second. In Massachusetts, you can sell liquor at 10 a.m. on Sunday? It's, do you-
Within 5 or 10 miles of the border, I think it is.
Okay.
I think it has to be a certain distance from the New Hampshire border. I don't know what it is. I want to say it's 10 miles, but that's just a guess.
Okay.
We have a motion
Yeah, no second.
and no second.
I'm sorry, what time did he want to open?
10 a.m. on Sunday.
10 a.m.
Do we know what time the other liquor stores around here open on Sunday? I thought it was noon. Like everywhere else was noon. Like if I went over to the liquor store across the bridge, I don't think it's open till noon.
I don't know.
So we're just trying to get a competitive advantage and opening 2 hours early, or what's the?
I don't,
So let me see.
I don't frequent, so I don't know.
Just look up if the other stores are.
So we had a motion, no second. I guess we move on. Old business.
Well, do we need to do something with that, or we just let it sit?
It didn't pass.
It didn't pass. It went nowhere, so it died on the operating table. So we'll move on to old business. We'll start. Oh. Oh, well, absolutely. Maybe we'll take this quick moment to introduce the district's newest member of the school administration, our new superintendent.
Dr. Justin Bartholomew?
I wish they'd let me know earlier, I would've, so you didn't have to spend here all night.
No, that's all right. Just so you know, I'm only here because I just want to let you know that I'm planning on being here at least once a month. I know you and West Newbury have the same meeting evenings. But just, being that the district is very valuable to all of our 3 communities, I want to make sure that you all knew I'm going to make myself available to you whenever you need information, you're trying to find out what's going on, and certainly if I have any issues that I'd like to come and talk to you, just so we can have a good, smooth future together. Obviously, growing up here in this town, love this school system, love this town. I just want to make sure we get everything right for our kids. So if you ever have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to travel here and meet with you, and very happy to be here. Very happy to be here. Yes, Selectman Wood.
Yes, absolutely, Selectman. Open, you
Welcome
have the
back.
floor.
Thank you.
To the area. I know you were down south for a number of years, right?
16 years, yeah.
Yeah. Been a long time since you've been back here.
Has been.
It has.
Has been.
So, fortunately for me, I went to junior high and high school partially with you? I know with your brother.
Yes,
Or your
yeah.
brothers, but you being on the younger side, we had a little bit of overlap. The only thing that I would ask is, I had a really good relationship with Dr. Mulqueen.
Sure.
And talking to him about some of the things that were going on in the school, making sure that we're up to date on training, for situations that may happen, that's been happening around the country. Want to make sure that we're up to date with the police and fire department, and we're keeping abreast on new tactics and new techniques to make sure everyone's safe. So that's the only thing that I would ask, that we keep that thing going.
Yeah, absolutely. I have actually spoken to 2 of the police chiefs already. We talked about Alice training, making sure our staff has that accessible to them. We were actually going to put it in as one of our professional development parts the first week of school, but we're holding off because I know West Newbury had a new transition with their Alice trainer. But I'm meeting with the police chiefs, I think in the next couple of weeks, just to kind of make sure we have all our ducks in a row and plans are in place for those trainings. Because as you all know, things change from a year-to-year basis on those events.
Right.
And the protocols. And we want to make sure our teachers have the most up-to-date information.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Selectman Carpenter, you have the floor.
I don't have anything. Welcome, and thank you for coming and introducing yourself.
Very much my fault.
Selectman Dunn, floor is yours.
Well, 65% of our budget goes to the school, about 65%. So anything you can do to help us. Every town around here needs to help as much as we can. And I'm sure you on your end have to run it with, I'm sure, on a tight budget as you have. But that's our biggest problem in this town, is we're drained by the budget.
Yeah. No,
Not only
absolutely.
your school, Whittier and what have you.
All the other ones, well, we just heard the numbers come through earlier, right?
Yep.
They're pretty sizable. So, I mean,
Right.
the biggest thing is that we are fiscally responsible with the money, and of course, Mr. LeBrecq, formerly from here, he very much knows how to run a good, tight ship.
Yeah, for sure.
So we plan on keeping that same approach.
Yep.
Nothing worse than tax dollars being spent in the wrong way.
Right, I got you.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you,
and,
Mr. Watson.
Good luck, and we're looking forward to seeing you here on a monthly basis.
Absolutely. Be my
Thank you.
pleasure.
Be careful what you commit to.
That's good.
And thank you very much, and communication is always key.
Sure.
Good news, bad news, we're all big boys and girls here, even if it's bad news. It's easier to handle the bad news if you have a lot of time than, at the end. So, good, bad, or indifferent, don't be afraid to talk.
No, and I was
We're all in
glad-
this together, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. And I was glad to see already you had up on the sign there about the meeting tomorrow night at Sweetser. So that's, you guys are helping to get the word out, and I really appreciate that.
We're trying like heck.
Yeah, again, anything you need, please just let me know. And honesty and truth goes a long way.
And openness and communication.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
right.
Helps us all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
welcome
Thank you.
aboard. Pleasure gonna be working with you over the next several years.
Yes.
Because I'll be there for another 6 or 7, I think, with my boys. Okay, old business, we'll start at this end of the table. Selectman Watson, anything for old business?
Yes, at the last meeting, we tabled a vote on a surplus boat that Mr. Orlando wanted. The finance director couldn't find any paperwork that indicated that the town owned it. I spoke to the family, as I said I would. They have no paperwork that indicates that it was ever sold or given to the town of Groveland. So go with the assumption that it belongs to the family. And if Mr. Orlando would contact them, they'll give him a bill of sale and I'll make out the paperwork. So it's nothing that we need to deal with.
Good. Anything else?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
Mr. Selectman Dunn, you have the floor.
Okay, I'll do one now and one later then. So, the business development survey, it was put online through Denise and the new town secretary,
Karen?
Caitlin. I'll just kind of do a kind of a brief overlay of how it turned out. The questions were, I probably should read them off, but
So you already got the results, Bill?
I got the results. So there were 7 people that returned online. One of the questions was, have you had difficulties working with the town of Groveland to operate or expand your business? 3 came back ZBA. Number 3 was the other one that came back big was, what do you feel the town could do better to support your business? Communication through the town. And also a website for the business people, or Facebook for the business people. Another big one was, do you feel the town could do more to attract town businesses? And how could they do it? Communicate through other local businesses, Facebook for business, website for business. 1 anchor store in Groveland would be great. And another thing was, they said, hold town-held business attractions, like hold something for the business people that would maybe be in town hall or whatever, to bring the business in, they can maybe show off their business, et cetera. Better guidelines on business and what they can do here. They don't feel like there's enough communication and guidelines, what they can do, what they can't do in Groveland. Number 7 was, would you be interested in participating in a business development coalition? 6 out of the 7 said yes, 1 said no. And the last question was, do you have any suggestions, comments, or recommendations on how to bring in or keep business in Groveland? 7 out of 7 said make permitting easier, work with the owners to make permitting easier, and that was pretty much all the feedback. I had 2 people came to me verbally. One person stopped by my office. He's a local businessman. He said that he did not want to put anything on paper, and he didn't want to put anything or call or do on the website because he feels like he would be railroaded. He feels like if he come out, different boards would come after him for his business and what have you. But he said that, good luck to me and hope your efforts are, good. And I said, well, you give me A for effort for trying. Another gentleman came in and said that he feels like the boards aren't easy to deal with. And another person had come in and talked to me and said that he doesn't believe that Groveland has the right footprint for business in Groveland because we don't have enough, the septic everyone questions, which you could put septic if it's done right. And we don't have, the downtown area has changed to be more residential, and the people down there don't want business, and they've pushed the business people out of there. So he felt like we're up against it as far as bringing business into Groveland. So that was the survey. So-
It's alarming that someone would feel that if they voiced their honest opinion, that they would face some sort of retribution for that. That's disturbing.
Well,
I find it highly disturbing. I don't know about anybody else, but I would think that someone that was willing to open enough in this country that we live in shouldn't fear retribution of any kind for stating what they believe to be their honest opinion. That's alarming.
oh, I agree. So going forward with what I've got and what I, the 7 people have said, all 7 would like to come and possibly come on a Saturday. I think I'll take a look at maybe holding something where people can come in on a Saturday and sit down and have a talk, and maybe get those 7 people involved into doing something bigger.
It sounds like a great opportunity to have a roundtable discussion
Right.
with the real business owners and put down on a piece of paper what their concerns are, what they'd like to see, how we can help them.
Right. Well, we could talk about a website, we could talk about Facebook, we could talk about the we'll take each one of these things and work on communication, we could work on, the different points.
That's great work, though. I think what you're gonna find out is really going to help us get to where we wanna be. And I think the town planner we have
Yep.
is just gonna be another huge asset for
Right.
you and these folks to help drive that bus to where we need to be. I wanna thank you for that effort you've made. I know it wasn't easy. It takes a lot of time out of your day. It's something that's probably
Well, I
doesn't get
wasn't,
thanked a lot.
Caitlin and Denise are the one that got on the website, so that was a big help right there. So,
Well, thank you
as I
as
said
well for
before,
your
thank you to
efforts.
them guys for doing that, so I can't take the credit for that.
No, but you know what? If somebody isn't driving the bus doesn't move, even though you have passengers that may be in it, right? So, thanks for driving the bus. Hey, you all set?
For that one.
Selectman Carpenter?
Bill, can I make a recommendation?
Mhm.
That you collaborate with, what's the name of the new, that we're planning on appointing, the new city?
Oh, the planner.
Yeah, that
I
maybe, you-
planned on that, yeah.
yeah, maybe that you have that roundtable with
Yep,
her,
Definitely.
and then she can document all the
Yep.
concerns and maybe come up with an action plan to
I think-
address.
I think after talking to her and what I heard, I think if I came in once she gets hired and sit down with her and tell her where I'm trying to go and have a good conversation, I think she's pretty knowledgeable, so.
Like I
I
said,
mean, I haven't, that's the first time I met her, and I was very impressed on how she talked and what she said, so I planned on talking with her.
She reminded me of Mona Lisa Vito from My Cousin Manchi knew.
And I'm sure she's dealt with different towns, and she mentioned Methuen, but, you know, like these people said, you know, if they have a business and we have a Saturday, even if it's a farmer's market or something, and they can come down, and we have other people come in, they get talking to other people, that generates business, so I'm sure she knows all about that stuff and how to go about it.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's a great opportunity to work with Groveland Day too.
Right.
To try and marry the two events and, you know, have some of the business owners put their wares on display. Let the town folks know what they do, what they're all about.
Well, I think too, if you share sort of your ideas with her, there may even, it
Right.
seems that she's very knowledgeable about grant monies, that maybe there are some opportunities to apply for grants to sort of build certain like business zones or things like that, so.
And I think also I went into Boston one time and with Denise, and I think Mike went, and I think they also came, the Lieutenant Governor came here. I think there's a lot going on in that end of things where the state is willing to help small business too. So I think that, she probably knows a lot about that. So
Absolutely.
I think we'll be able to move forward with that.
Good. Selectman Carpenter?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Okay. Selectman Wood?
Old business? No.
Okay. Moving right along, we'll get to Selectmen's reports. Selectman Wood, I think you're all good there right now. We gotta give you some.
Still not assigned
We
one.
need to talk.
Yeah.
Gotta give you some, keep you busy,
Can't wait.
keep you off the streets, out of trouble. Selectman Carpenter, any?
BYOB on the street.
Don't even go there.
Nothing to report.
Nothing, your Elm Street Park Committee, is it going anywhere with that? Is it,
Well, we were waiting for the new contract year, and then I think a meeting will be scheduled to talk about some of the public education that we wanted to do around, you know, what our goals are and that type of thing. Any changes that you're aware of, Mike?
Yes, but I don't want to talk about them right now.
Okay.
okay, then we'll leave that conversation for another day. Selectman Dunn, I think you've done a good job already. Do you have anything else to report?
So, on to the Pines, discussion about trying to do the signs and bring in revenue. I said I would go to the sign company and get pricing on signs and what have you, which I did. I also said I would go to the different towns in the area to get a rough idea of what the signs were gonna costing them in their parks. And I can say that I've come up with a 2x3 sign would probably be in the vicinity of 125. A 4x4 sign would be 225. A 4x8 sign would be 640, and a sponsorship of the park would probably be between $600 and $800. The first year, we're either gonna have to, the cost of the sign is gonna have to be half of that. So the first year, we may only get, not the 125, we might get $60 out of that, because we gotta get the sign built. Or, we turn around and we say to the people, the first year is 125 plus the 60 to get the sign made, and then after that, you keep your sign, we'll put it up every year for you. Some towns do it that way, and some towns turn around and say, you know, half the price, so, it really depends. I think that's something I'm gonna have to feel out and find out, the people I talk to, what they think they can afford.
Mhm.
And then the sponsor the field, like I said, that would be probably a much bigger sign on the back of a backstop or something, that would be, you know, $600 to $800, somewhere around there.
I guess the next thing we should talk about is it possible that those signs could be tax deductible? I know when they do the signs for like the football or the
written up
Little
as a
League,
donation.
then they've got a 501(c), they can
Yep.
write it off
Yep.
as a
No,
donation.
this would strictly be on the town's behalf to write, it's a donation. It would be a donation, unless they're gonna try writing it off on their income taxes.
Well, that's what I
As a
mean.
business expense, but they can still write it off as a business expense.
Right, I think that we can't, my recollection is the last conversation with Denise, though, was creating that fund.
Revolving it.
Yeah,
Fund.
that we had to do that at town meeting, create that.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
this isn't gonna happen
Yeah,
till
yeah.
spring, so, but I mean, it's gonna take some time to get everything done, I gotta write up everything, I gotta get a piece of paper from the town of Groveland saying, you know, sheets that I can give the people that I can send off and say, here's the prices, which one do you wanna do? Sponsor A, B, C, D.
But what you've done here is effectively put the wheels in motion that
Right.
you've got a game plan now and a good roadmap
Right,
on where you're headed
Yep.
and the direction you wanna go.
right.
And that's 90% of the battle in getting to your ultimate destination. So
Right.
again, I commend you for your outstanding
Bill?
work. Yes.
Any questions
Selectman Wood.
For the other bill?
For the other bill. That's you.
Did you mention so you mentioned the price for a small sign, a large sign, and then to sponsor a field? Well, what about sponsoring the whole Pines? I know we talked about that last
I
time.
think this board didn't want, last time we talked about, they didn't wanna do that. They didn't feel like they wanted to let them do that. I was saying like Shanahan Pines rec area,
Yeah,
but I think it kinda, they wanted to lean toward fields, like, say the softball field would be
The
Trinity
A.W.
Field.
Chesterton
And then, you know what I
Ball
mean?
Field at Pines
And
Recreation
also,
Center.
also in my conversation with the people, I did talk to Chesterton.
Mhm.
I did talk to, I forget now, a couple big people, Merrimack Valley Hospital, a couple big ones. They're not gonna shell out $10,000.
no.
They're not going to.
But you had mentioned
The
like 2
most
or
I can
3,000
get
or
out of-
something.
The most I think we're gonna be able to get is $1,000 tops.
Mhm.
I think they're not gonna, they just don't put that kind of money.
You'd
But
have
is
to
that-
have a stadium like Havel
Yeah,
Stadium where
right,
they've got
right.
billboards, electronics.
But is that for one field or for the Pines complex?
When, I was gonna do each field, they,
All right,
Each
so
field
it'd
would-
be $1,000 to sponsor a field.
each field, right,
Okay.
right. Right, and we could even, you know, if there's enough people, I mean, I talked to, what, 6, 7 people, they're all for it, and 3 big people. If we run out of space there, the 2 fields there, we still got the Bagnell School, and that could help put money toward the, you know, keeping the fields up there too, so, I mean, we can expand it, you know, start at the Pines, and we can go from there with it.
Great ideas.
thank you.
Anything else?
I just lost my train of thought, there was one more thing we just talked about. We just talked about, it was the Pines. I'll come back to me, it will come back to me,
Okay.
I just thought of it, and I was gonna say it.
Selectman Watson.
No, we're moving slowly. We've been doing some talking. We've getting some figures, some information, and again, the summer months are not too cooperative with people away, but we are moving forward.
Do you feel like you're getting some excitement generated? Do you feel like there's still stuck on the original proposal, or do you see that they're willing to move and kind of look at things in different ways and maybe compromise a little bit more and get a little more, give a little more?
It looks like that will have to be done.
Good.
Will it be receptive? I'm not sure. Still working on that.
I'm hoping, I'd like to see them get it. I would, and we can do a couple of
I
other
mean,
things.
that'd be
in the bill.
great.
Okay, go ahead, Mr.
So, quite a few months ago, we had a credit union had come in to wrote us a letter, or I forget exactly how it took place, but they were looking to come into Groveland. They wanted to possibly be up in South Groveland, being closer to Chesterton. So what I did is I put a call into the gentleman and the lady that I dealt with in their marketing department, and I mentioned to them that there's a property building downtown Groveland that's vacant, and they're trying to rent it, and they may want to take a look at it. And I did hear back through email from the gentleman. He said he would be taking a look at that. Thank you. So hopefully, maybe they'd be able to do something down there. That would be a nice anchor type thing down there.
That was in the corner of the mortgage.
Yeah, where the mortgage
okay.
place used to be. But they didn't want to be down there, because I think they wanted to be up the other end of town, but I figured I'd throw it out to them.
Sure, sure. Okay, as far as selectmen reports, we have a meeting tomorrow at the Sweetser School in Merrimack to discuss the meeting we had last week, and it's a joint meeting of the building committee and the school committee. I believe that'll be to finalize what our wishes are as far as the new school and the, how it looks. And that's all I have until tomorrow night. So we have correspondence, we have Pentucket Arts Grant Award Letter, which is awesome. And that's pretty much all we have for correspondence. We have Finance Director's time. You're pinch hitting, Caitlin.
Excellent, okay. First, is everyone okay with meeting on August 13th for an executive session to discuss Rebecca's negotiations? You guys voted to approve her, or to appoint pending negotiations, but Denise had suggested August 13th, which is next Monday at 6:30.
That's fine.
That's okay by me. Yeah.
Son of a gun, if that doesn't ring a bell, but I didn't write anything down in my book. But I know I'm gonna get crossed up, but I'll say okay for now. You're all good
Okay,
with
yeah.
that? Selectman Watson?
Okay.
Okay, anything else on your plate?
Yes. The joint building committee meeting, school committee meeting scheduled for August 7th has been moved to the Sweetser School in Merrimack, still
Right.
being at 6:30.
They have a different event at the cafeteria, which is where we usually hold our meetings, or in the library. But there's some kind of event going on at the high school, so we had to switch the venue to the Sweetser School.
Okay. Reminder that tomorrow night is also National Night Out at Pawtucket High School.
That must be it.
We are looking at closing on the Salem Uptack properties at the end of August. And we heard back from Route 97 contractors, they'd like to arrange a site visit to look at issues and put together a plan if anyone wants to.
Will Mr. Arkalian be our representative at that meeting?
I would assume he would be there, yes.
Yeah, I've already heard about it.
Oh, I didn't.
So,
So you're gonna go?
Yeah, we gotta get the date again.
As the project is a MassDOT contract, all work is coordinated through them. Perhaps the board could forward the list of concerns they have so that ARB can arrange a site visit to review the field with MassDOT and prepare a plan to address. Let me know things. That was from Bob.
What was the date?
They would like to arrange a site visit, so you got,
Oh, okay.
so they don't have a date yet.
Selectman Watson, is that something you could handle with that letter, helping with putting together that letter?
Y-
what
yes.
you're Specifically looking at?
Yes.
Appreciate it.
So can we submit our concerns through you to Ed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Let's see, there's some letters, and then somebody would like to display a yard sign promoting the annual Bradford Art Festival. Sunday, September 2nd through Saturday, September 8th. The organization is the Greater Haverhill Arts Association,
Where do they?
Ann Jones wants to put it.
How big is the sign and where do they want to put it?
So they wanna put it out here.
They would like to put it, at these locations on the back: BC Park, Water Department at Johnson Creek, Recreation Field, Center Street, Shanahan Field inside Loop, Perry Park, Town Complex, Library Lawn, and Old North School.
Are they lawn signs?
Yes.
What's it for?
The
For
annual
Bradford.
Bradford Art Festival.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
fine
as long as we can, when we have our art festival, we can put our signs out there, right?
Oh, we don't, oh, yeah, okay.
Wine festival, art festival, whatever's going on.
Yeah, so as long as they're amenable to a reciprocal kind of,
Although they don't control that.
who doesn't control it?
So this woman that's applying
Yeah.
is not necessarily the town of Haverhill. She works for this Bradford Arts Association.
Right. I'm sure she could finagle it that it'd be a reciprocal kind of agreement. I don't have any problem with it, I mean,
Yeah, I'm fine with
Yeah,
that
just
too.
when you say we okayed it, and as long as they're reciprocal, we'd be looking for
yeah.
the same back from them in the future.
Okay.
When our back gets itchy, we want somebody to scratch it, in other words, you know? Hopefully they remember that.
That looks good. I have
Yeah.
nothing else.
Okay. Selectmen's time, we'll start at this end of the table, Selectman Wood.
Oh, me.
You're
I
up.
just wanted to get an update for the line painting that was requested a couple months back for Main Street. Still working with the state, Lenny and Bruce Tarr's office on time frame for that. Sometime this summer, fall.
They're busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a busy time for them, but they did say we are on the schedule.
Terrific. Selectman Carpenter?
Nothing.
Selectman Dunn?
I said enough.
Selectman Watson?
Prior to the selectmen's meeting, I attended the cemetery commission meeting in the back room, and they have selected a new foreman. They started out, they had seven, I believe it was 7 applications, 4 withdrew, they interviewed 4, so 3 withdrew. They narrowed it to 2. The 2 finalists were interviewed tonight by the cemetery commission. They selected a foreman. They have the engineering company ready to go, and they'd like to know if we could have a meeting on Monday night, short meeting, so that we could vote on his appointment, so he could get going as soon as possible. And seeing as how we have an executive session that night, I don't see why we can't post a meeting. That be the only thing on the agenda, public meeting, and get this person on board so we can get ready to go. And he can be, work with this engineering company when they get up there. And the cemetery commission would like this person as soon as possible.
So you're asking for one item agenda?
That's all. That's all that they have.
We have an executive session already scheduled for 6:30 next Monday? So that would have to happen after the executive session? I think it's a hardship for
Well,
anybody.
this is, some of it take 5 minutes.
I'd recommend that we do executive session at 6:45 and do this at 6:30, because if we're going to appoint somebody, we don't know how long executive session's going to take.
Yes, I agree, and it's difficult sometimes for some of us to make it here before 6:30, so 6 o'clock would be, I don't want to put anybody out.
How about 6:15? It shouldn't take long.
No, I think if we went 6:30 and did executive
Session at
session at
6:45.
6:45, we'd be
So-
fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Do the executive session at 6:45?
Yes, just push that back 15 minutes. It shouldn't take longer than 15 minutes, you don't think, right?
I don't think so.
So if we start the regular meeting at 6:30, we're done by 6:45, we go into executive session. Hopefully that wouldn't last
Yeah.
long.
And if that's approved, then I'll let them know.
I don't see
And
any
then we need,
problem.
just make sure we need to have it posted.
But we've got plenty of time to get it posted. I don't see a problem with that. So we can make that happen. What's another Monday away from the family and, well, you know? I have nothing for selectmen time at this point.
So I make a motion that we adjourn at 8:27 PM.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Great. Thank you for your time. Stay safe, stay cool.